Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So in this video we're going to be breaking down the 5 Phantimals which are going to be coming in season 5. So Phantimals are basically going to be bosses which are going to fight alongside you on your own team if you have 3 or more of a faction deployed. And we know from the AFK journey official website they have revealed what are going to be the Phantimals for each of the 5 different factions in season 5. And in the trailer we watched earlier today, they did show briefly on the screen the Stomper for the Wilder faction and the Grim Executioner for the Graveborn faction. So I just want to talk a bit about the skills of these 5 different Phantimals. We don't know exactly how they're going to be implemented. I'm assuming they're not going to have exactly the same skill set that they had as bosses. So first I want to talk about the Stomper. This is going to be with the Wilder faction. From the trailer, I'm going to show you a screenshot right now. And this shows that when the Stomper was casting one of his abilities, it was dealing AoE magic damage to enemies. And there's also a haste debuff onto enemies. And now I don't know if this haste debuff is related to the seasonal artifact or if it is related to the Stomper. But to talk about Stomper, if the Stomper retains any of his major skills, number 1 being the fact that periodically silence all enemies, preventing them from casting ultimate, that is incredibly strong. And if that is going to come, even when you summon him as a Phantimal on your Wilder team, that is going to make Wilders very strong. The other very important effect of Stomper is that he can turn one enemy into a Yeti cell, and then the other enemies have to break that hero out if they want that hero to participate in battle again. Again, we did not see this in the trailer. I don't know if this is actually going to be coming when we get him as a Phantimal or with the upgrades, but if these two things do come, it is going to make the Wilder faction maybe one of the stronger ones. And I can definitely also see it for AFK stages because Wilder faction is the strongest faction for AFK stages. And definitely for seasonal AFK stages, it's usually almost always a Wilder team with Iron and Elemis together because of how good they are for that. And I think Stomper could be a good, if he can offer some more crowd control, or if he can even just reduce the haste of the enemies, that can be pretty good for your AFK stage pushing teams. So definitely interested to see more of the skills of the Phantimals. That is really going to change a lot when we actually see all of that revealed. Now the other one which was shown in the trailer was the Grim Executioner for the Graveborn. If you have 3 or more Graveborn heroes deployed for seasonal content, you're going to summon the Grim Executioner. Now the weird thing was, in the trailer, they showed the Grim Executioner. However, the only thing I saw from when he casted one of his skills, it looked like he did AoE damage, as you can see on the screenshot here, but there was nothing else I was able to see. There were no debuffs. There weren't any forms of buffs that I was able to pick up on in the trailer because it just wasn't enough, basically, gameplay of it. And when it comes to the Grim Executioner's skills, I think actually the Eternal Confinement is one of the more interesting ones. If you read it, defeats an enemy with a lower HP ratio and increases stats. That sounds like an execution type mechanic. When the HP falls below 25%, it drags a deployed enemy into the coffin, causing instant defeat. Now, obviously, that sounds really overpowered. I don't think it's going to work exactly like that for the Graveborn factions, but that would be insane. And that could definitely have uses, whether it be in AFK stages, which Graveborn are not bad for AFK stages either, like Damon, Shamira, Bonnie are all can be pretty strong, especially for early AFK stages. But for PvP as well, this seems like a really interesting sort of effect if that is actually going to happen. The other ones, some crowd control and mobilization, and his ultimate has some form of damage reduction onto himself. So overall, those are what we saw from the trailer: Grim Executioner, Stomper, and we have reviewed their skills. Now there are 3 more Phantimals, and these have been posted by the AFK Journey website. And the first one we'll talk about is Lone Gaze. So Lone Gaze is going to be coming on the side of the Maulers. And Lone Gaze, he does seem like a hero that is fitting for Maulers. He's a wolf himself, and but the thing is, we don't know, is Lone Gaze going to provide any buffs to your allies, because Lone Gaze was only like a self-sufficient, self-reliant hero. He would make himself provide a mist that would cause him to be able to dodge the enemies. We don't know if this mist will be even provided as a Phantimal, and if it is it going to cause other Mauler allies to basically be shrouded in the dust and unable to be targeted? That could be very strong if that is the case. Apart from that, of course, you have the ramp up, a stat boost when he defeats a non-summon enemy. However, from what it seems like, the Phantimals, I don't know how much damage they're going to be able to output. So yeah, I don't really know about like this ramping up type mechanism. I really see the Phantimals like more of like supportive type role for your team. So I'm looking for some sort of buffing capability. But like Lone Gaze, if he is just going to be similar to how he was as a boss, and he's just going to be kind of like your wolf killer pet who is just going to deal damage and try to ramp himself up. We just don't know about the Shroud and whether this is going to be able to benefit your team or not. But I think really, honestly speaking, Maulers would need some sort of buffing to make them relevant, because Maulers overall are not the strongest faction, and this is a season where we're going to be having a lot of Mauler heroes released, so I wouldn't be surprised if somehow this is going to be a really strong Phantimal effect for your Maulers. If you can somehow shroud your entire team, that would be very strong. Like that would be, yeah, crazy. Okay, then we have Lightbearers. So Lightbearers are going to be Carmine, Foreman, which is kind of strange. I mean, we did see him in just kind of one boss battle in the Waves of Intrigue season, and he summons bodyguards. That's basically his mechanic. He summons bodyguards to system on the battlefield, and it's kind of instant at the beginning of the battle. Now, I don't know. We didn't see it in the trailer. Is this also going to work the same way as a Phantimal? Are you going to summon him and then all of his bodyguards along with him? Like just having a huge number of bodies on the field. And then he grants buffs to his bodyguards. He also can cause them to immobilize enemies. And Lightbearer is also really on the weaker side of the factions, doesn't have a lot of strong heroes. It was really made good with the faction talents we had for this season. Echoes of Descent definitely was probably one of the strongest faction talents of all of them, and that's why usually what happens is those which were strong in previous seasons are not going to be strong in the subsequent season. So it might be that this would be one of the weaker Phantimals and making Lightbearers much less like kind of appealing to be using. And then we have Celestial Hypogean, who have everyone's favorite Phantimal, which is Illucia. I guess if it's on your side, it would be your favorite. When you face Illucia, no one likes facing Illucia. So again, we don't know exactly what type of skills these Phantimals are going to have, but if Illucia has any sort of those major mechanics, turning enemies into cats, that is going to be ridiculous, because that is so much crowd control, very powerful, and for like AFK stages, that's going to be insane. And when we look at like sort of the end of like the really pay to win AFK stage comps, you see a lot of Baelran, Saida, and even Twins at the higher level of AFK stages, like high deficit. Before that, I don't know, if Illucia is really strong in crowd control and providing that value for your team, then maybe even Celestial Hypogeans can make a comeback for AFK stages and be one of the top options. Like heroes which were used in AFK stages in past seasons, like Scarlita, Freesto, Taylene even, maybe they will have a place again if Illucia is really good for AFK stages. But for PvP as well, of course, turning enemies into cats is going to be a big advantage that your team will have in PvP. So I'm really expecting probably Celestial Hypogean is going to be one of the strongest, like it kind of always is. Celestial Hypogean faction talents are always on the stronger end, and I'm expecting no different in this season. But I do also think like Stomper for Wilders, could be, and maybe even the Lone Gaze for Maulers, if it can somehow also buff up other Maulers, I think then maybe that could also be pretty interesting and strong. So if you, and also not only turning into cats, you also have those ultimate denials, preventing enemies from casting their ultimate. A lot of basically crowd control, even kind of more crowd control compared to Stomper, making probably, if Illucia has any of those same sort of effects, maybe she would be the strongest of all Phantimals. But we'll have to wait and see. So basically, I just wanted to recap the 5 Phantimals, also discuss basically based on their current skill sets, what we might be able to expect when they come. But of course, this is just really speculation. We don't have detailed information on the skills of the Phantimals, and no doubt it is going to be quite different to what their actual skills are. But we'll have to wait and see about that. So you guys can feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think about these 5 Phantimals? What do you think could be some of the buffs or even debuffs they provide in the battle for you? And yeah, let me know that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you're not already a member of my AFK Journey Discord server, there's a link to that in the description of this video. And also, if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. There is a link to that in the description of this video and a pinned comment. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then, everyone, peace out for now.